Hey everyone, it's Mike here from The Art of Guitar. Today I'm actually going to be the art of bass though, because I've finally figured out after all these years what's going on in the intro to No More Tears by Ozzy. And it's that bass riff in the beginning that always starts off and my ear thinks it's counting the correct way and all of a sudden the drums come in at a different time than expected. And it frustrated me so much back in the day that I just kind of gave up trying to figure it out. So I thought I'm finally going to do this, and the other day I actually put it into Pro Tools. I dissected it a little bit, and I finally figured out what's going on. So I wanted to show you guys that today because I'm real excited about it. So first of all, this is the riff. And when he plays that for the intro of the song, I always expected the drums to come in like this. But it never would. It would always do this instead. So like I said, I dissected it, and I finally come to realize that it's actually two different versions of the riff that are used in the song. And so I'm going to take you kind of a roundabout way to get there, but I think it's the best way to learn this concept. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to play you what the other version of the riff actually is. We're going to call this version 1. Okay, because that's what they actually start with in the song. So try to hear the riff like this now. We're going to count it on the 1 for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's version 1 of the riff. Now that might take you a little while to acclimate into your mind in this new way, because I think a lot of us, especially me, I think, hear it like this, with a hammer-on happening in the beginning. That is actually going to be version 2 though. So version 1, we start on the open D string and we hit it twice. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Version 2 is going to start with a hammer on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So if you're able to play both of those, you're ready for the next step. We have to do a few weird things to make it work within the song, because what I realized is that they flip-flop between the two versions, and they do something kind of strange in the intro as well. But let's start off with just trying to get the drums to come in at the right time, okay? So what's going to happen are the hi-hats are going to count us in. We're going to do version 1 of that riff and see if the snare drum hits and the beat kicks in where we expect it to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. One, two, three, 4, 1. Okay, so did you see how it kicked in when I expected it to? So that's good, problem solved there, but the next problem is when the drums are actually playing the beat, if you listen to the album, it's actually version 2 going on. So somehow we have to flip to version 2 after the drums come in. How do we do that? It's actually pretty simple. 2, 3, 4, 1. So this is version 1. Here comes version 2. Did you see how I just kicked into version 2 at the end of version 1 and it worked out? So it's like the riff just kind of flipped all of a sudden. Now, we don't get off that easy, unfortunately. After 4 times doing version 2, we have to go back to version 1, but there's a little bit of a trick to it. If you count to the end of version 2, you're going to find out that we're ending on an open D string. See how at the very end, we hit the D string to end the riff. The problem with that is when we go back to version 1, we'd have to hit 2 more D strings. So that's going to be 3 Ds in a row. And I don't think he wanted to do that. So instead, here's what he does. When you get to the end of version 2, instead of going back to the open D string at the very end, we're just going to do another quick hammer on. And then we flip to version 1. So here's what I mean. See that? I just did 2 hammer-ons instead of going back to the D string at the end. After you do those 2 hammer-ons, go ahead and go back to version 1 like I said. So I'm going to do this with the backing track so you can hear it happening with the drums. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Version 1. Version 2. Now. Here comes that double hit. Version 1. So isn't that a little bit strange that we have to hit 2 of those hammer-ons and then go to version 1? That's just what they elected to do, but it kind of adds to the weird audio illusion of the whole thing. Okay, then it does 4 more of those, and it flips again, and then Ozzy starts to sing. We're going to do that at the very end. I'm going to go all the way through to where Ozzy starts to sing. But there's one more thing, and this is why I got a little bit of a conspiracy mind about this whole thing. I'm like, you know what? If they wanted to make this easy on us to learn, they would have just started with the open D string on the 1 beat. They would have went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But I have a funny feeling the band was like, you know what? Let's mess with people's ears a little bit. Let's throw in a quick little hammer-on at the top of it just to make them think it's the other version of the riff. Now, I don't know if they really planned it out this deep, but that's what I picture in my head. I do the same thing when I hear Metallica riffs that are weird. I picture Lars like in front of a whiteboard being all crazy going, now we're gonna screw with them by doing this. We all know now that the beginning of the song starts on version 1 of the riff. So the open D string starting on the 1 beat. However, like I said, they add the little hammer-on, but they actually add it on the and of 4 before the 1 count. So it gives us the illusion that they're playing version 2 of the riff. Because there's no hi-hat starting on the recording, your ear just thinks this is the 1 beat. That's just a natural human type thing to pick it up like that. So without the hi-hat, you're thinking it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But it's not. It can't be because that's version 2 of the riff. Instead, it's actually this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. See how it's still version 1? Because I hit the open D string on the 1 beat. But right before it on the and of 4, I threw in that little hammer-on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it with the hi-hat so you guys can follow, and then I'm going to take the hi-hat out the second time so you can hear that it's actually like the real recording. Here we go, with the hi-hat, with the little hammer-on the and of 4, and we're going to go all the way through to when Ozzy would normally start singing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, now that you hear what's going on with the hi-hat keeping count, let's take that out and hopefully it sounds like the actual recording. Alright, I hope that with the text on the screen it really helped you see how the riff was flipping between every 4. And then I believe after he starts singing it flips more frequently, but really listen to it to find out what's happening because I didn't really go that far. I was just so excited to get the intro that I wanted to show you guys that right away. Alright, hopefully that helps a lot of people who have had the same questions in their minds about the intro to this song. I know I get a lot of people writing in about it, and I'm glad to know that it's actually 2 versions of the riff and that I'm not just crazy or something. Alright everyone, hopefully that was fun. We'll catch you at the next video. We'll see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.